We've saved a seat just for you. There's always room at the table. It's Coffee with the Pastor with your host, Andy McDaniel.
Welcome, everybody, to Coffee with the Pastor. We are so glad to be with you today. I want to thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to another great time today as we talk about life and just things that hopefully are of interest and concern to us at times. We always look at these through the lens of Scripture and how it applies where it is relevant. Each and every time that we get together, each and every Monday here at 2 p.m., where are you listening? Maybe you're hearing the repeat. Maybe you're hearing it as it comes on live today. But regardless, we are excited to have you with us, and we prayerfully encourage you to let others know about what we're doing, have them listen in as well. And we hope that what we present to you today will be interesting. We're going to talk, I'm here with my buddy Steve today, and we're going to be talking about music history again. We did this last month, and it was so interesting and so exciting to talk about that. We're going to do it again. So I want to just, again, thank you for joining us. I'm your host. If you listen to this for the first time today, I am your host, Pastor Andy McDaniel. Serve here locally in the Fayetteville, North Carolina community. Been pastoring now, ministering for 25 years, brother. I can't believe that. And you may have me beat by a little bit on that, but
it's been a while.
Yeah, but man, I tell you,
but you look younger than I do. So we might be the same age, but you look younger.
We've got faces made for radio, brother.
You got that right.
but anyhow, God bless you, man. It's great to be here. If you want to know anything about what we do over where I serve here locally at West Fayetteville, you can find out all that at wfaybc.net, and you can get our schedule and all of the things about us. But enough about that, enough about me. I want to welcome my friend Pastor Steve Kirk here. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing well. Good to be back with you.
Good to be with you,
and I'm
man.
loving the topic that you chose.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. Found some really great material, interesting stories as to how all of these classics came about. And, sometimes when we think about history, obviously we immediately go to, historical events, and wars and all these other things like that. But, man, so many great things have happened throughout history. And I just love, especially when it comes to literature and songs and poems and stuff that have really shaped lives for so long. And so some interesting topics that we'll hit today with some of these great old songs. So you've been doing okay?
Yes, sir.
Great
things
to have
are going
you back on
well.
the show.
Man, enjoy being
How are
here.
Things in the church?
Things are going well. Got exciting things going on. And, of course, I feel like I serve the most wonderful church, most wonderful people in the world. Isn't that great?
It's supposed to be that way.
They are so good to me. And we got Harvest Day coming up this weekend. So it's in its 147th year, as best we can tell. Wow. That's a long time to be doing those harvest days. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
Well, man, that's exciting. Well, great to have you take a little bit of time out to share with us today. And let's talk about some great old songs, man.
Yeah,
because these are ones that, when we think about classics, there's certain ones that come to mind. Obviously, we have, a lot of the modern stuff takes place, and we're not throwing that under the bus. But when we look at familiar lyrics and old favorites, and sometimes, as we know, as we talked about last time, there's such a deeper meaning behind these. This first song, it came about back in the 1800s. One of the historical things that I was reading about this song, it said, life can be very unpredictable. Joy, sorrows, blessings, distress, all of them come about. And we know that to be true. Mm-hmm. Things change sometimes in an instant. We hear about tragedies, we see tragedies and the stuff that people obviously didn't wake up that morning and expect. And we have that. And we know, and the truth of it is, brother, and you know this as well as I do, we've been around for a few days, it's hard to find peace in the middle of the storm. We know that to be true, right? I mean, we talk about it, we preach about it, and it's hard to find that place. And I believe that it's harder to find that place outside of faith. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think that's part of why these hymns mean so much to us, because they really address needs. I mean, real needs, things that are going on in the lives of individuals at a difficult time, physically or spiritually, emotionally. And I think that's one of the things that makes this so appropriate, this topic.
I think so. Well, this gentleman named Horatio Spafford. Okay. He kind of had some things going on in his life that we can't even imagine, right? So it says he was very successful. He was an attorney, he was a real estate investor, and he lost everything in 1871 in the Chicago fire, including his 4-year-old little son who died of scarlet fever right after the fire. And so the family was distressed. He's having a difficult time, and he says, well, maybe we need a break. So he said a vacation might be a good thing. So he sends his wife and his 3 daughters to England on a trip. And he said, I'll join them after I get done. Well, on the way there, the ship went down, and his other children died. Now, his wife made it. About 200 people died in this shipwreck. She got to England. She sent him I was going to say a fax, but I guess not in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I guess it was a telegram.
Yeah, I guess it was.
But she asked him, in the midst of this tragedy, what do I do? He immediately found a way to get to England. On the way over there, this is where this is interesting. On the way over there, the captain of the ship that they were traveling on was aware of him. He knew who he was. And as they were crossing over the place where the prior ship had gone down and his children were lost, he pointed this out to Mr. Spafford. Now, granted, he's lost everything in the fire. His son has died. Now all of his daughters, 3 of them, are all gone. And this captain points out, this is this place to where your daughters, lost their life. As he thought about this, it said that he was filled with words of comfort. Words of hope filled his mind, and he began to write them down and develop what we've come to know now as the great song, It Is Well With My Soul. Steve, where could that possibly come from outside of a relationship with the Lord? I don't think it's possible.
I don't either. And you've heard it many times in your ministry where people say, I just don't know how people make it without the Lord. Yeah. And yet here he is in the most tragic and traumatic of situations, finding peace, and then kind enough, thank the Lord, that he took time to write these things down. So there's been times, I remember years ago, our associate, a dear friend of mine, was killed in a car wreck, and he was young. He was only, I want to say he was 19.
Oh, my goodness.
And I remember singing this song at the funeral and thinking to myself, this is more than a song. This is something that's really speaking to me and to his parents, to everybody in the place. So there's comfort that comes.
There really is, and I think as we look at these words a little bit during this portion of the show today, while it's a beloved hymn, and you're right, when you know the story behind this, that it wasn't just a group of people in a room saying, "Hey guys, we need to write a new song." Yeah. This wasn't a songwriting session. Mm-hmm. This wasn't Capitol Records says, "Hey, we need some new material." This was someone in the depths of brokenness. I mean, you've literally lost everything that's important to you.
Yeah.
And still somehow in that, the first verse says, "When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to know, it is well with my soul." My goodness, man, what a not only deep and profound set of words, but what a projection of, you know what, sometimes life stinks, but there's something that keeps me grounded. How incredible is that?
That's amazing. When sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say. And I think about verses where you hear, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I mean, he's really experiencing peace in the midst of a storm. Yeah. And that's the scriptures lived out before us, where, whatever anxiety is, Pastor Andy. I mean, so Paul would say to be anxious for nothing, but in all things with thanksgiving, make your request known to God. And then his peace, which passes all understanding. I mean, it's not just peace, like you're saying, maybe something that's dispensed because it sounds good. It's his peace. Yeah. And he offers that to us. He gives that to us. Yeah. And it's not something we can even comprehend, but it can be experienced. It's hard to explain, and it transcends the anxiety. And here again, those who are laboring and heavy laden, come to me and I'll give you rest. And I think, I'm not sure what rest is either sometimes.
No.
It could be mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. And I think the same thing with peace. I'm not sure what kind of anxiety robs us of our peace. I just know that it does.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great, I love what you said, because rest, we equate that with sleep.
Yeah,
Or,
right.
or a Sunday afternoon nap or whatever. But if we're honest, you may very well, I have, experience where you go to bed and you may, quote unquote, sleep for 8 or 10 hours or whatever. But you wake up
Absolutely.
more tired than you was when
Absolutely
you
worn out.
You didn't rest.
No.
Because I think rest is such a deeper state of mind versus the physicality of your body. Just saying, I can't go anymore, and it just goes into a state of failure and just says, okay, I can't function on it. But rest, like peace. All right, peace, by definition, is the absence of conflict. Well, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
In the world. That is
seen that
completely incapable of being. However, Scripture tells us we can have peace with God. It is well with my soul. That's where you can find real peace and real rest, because regardless of what's going on around me, okay, this Mr. Spafford is going through an unimaginable tragedy.
Yes.
But yet still, I'm at peace with God, because while I don't understand it, and I may even be upset about it, I know it's okay.
Yeah.
And that takes a while to get there. That is not a quick fix.
No.
That's not a Band-Aid.
It's got to come from somewhere, and clearly it's coming from God.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, like you said. Nobody understands peace like that, but you can experience it at as His goodness is a gift to us, His peace is a gift to us. And in the most difficult of challenges, and it might be our listeners today are experiencing that. They might be at that place, Pastor Andy, where they just can't really think clearly at all. I've been in those places where I want, let me see if I can remember a Bible verse, and I can't remember.
Oh, no.
Let me see. I mean, something even familiar I can't come up with. And then I can at least think to myself, I tell you what I need, God, I need your peace.
Yeah.
And then He's so happily dispensing that. I mean, it's just so cool. And it's also a fruit of the Spirit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Love and joy and peace.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think, to go back to where we're pointing to not only the historical value, but I believe the spiritual value of these old songs.
Oh.
And again, it's not, I want our listening audience to understand, the reason we're talking about this is there's such a depth in these words.
Yes.
And again, I'm not being critical. I'm not the old grumpy guy in the corner saying, oh, it's better back in the old. I'm not saying.
We're old dudes now. We can say that. No.
But if we're honest, one of the things missing in modern music is this. Because this came from the heart.
Yes.
This was not a writing session. This was not a corporate press, release. This was real.
Yeah.
And it's something about, it's just like reading an autobiography or reading
Absolutely.
a lesson. Okay, even Scripture, okay, the letters written about the ministry of Paul and the letters written by Paul are vastly different.
Yes.
Okay, because you're seeing it through the eyes of one who observed versus through the eyes of one who did.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so and it's that way in all things. So we continue thinking about this. We don't always in our life, if we're honest, we don't always say that everything is well. Because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's terrible. I'm going through a lot of seasons right now in my life that they're real. And we face storms, we face tragedies. But our faith and trust in God that He will be there allows us to be able to say, as this song says, it is well with my soul. Okay, so that is not to say it is well with my life, because sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But I think that peace, as you were saying, that passes all understanding, that where Jesus says, you can have peace with God. That's a vastly different statement than peace in the world, because you're not going to have that. There's going to be something that's going to upend your day. It could be a traffic accident. It could be the death of a loved one. It could be stubbing your toe, and it just makes it hurt the rest of the day. It could be
absolutely.
all of those things. Or your team lose the big game. It could be anything can upend your day.
It can.
But in 1876, so this has been a while.
Yeah.
All of these words were published and written. And again, we've talked about the first verse, when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, so whatever comes my way, you have taught me to know it is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control. Think about that word. I'm surrendering all of this tragedy and heartache and all this. I'm giving it to someone else, that Christ has regarded my helpless estate and shed his own blood for my soul. So regardless of anything going on in my life, good, bad, or ugly, the Lord has been there and he gave it all. It says, my sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, all of it, he nailed it to the cross, and I bear it no more. It is well with my soul. Wow. How, even as I read this, as I was even preparing, even as I read this now, it speaks so deep to my heart. What are these words saying to you, brother?
Well, I'm looking at it, thinking to myself, Philip Bliss wrote he composed the tune.
That's right.
And named the tune after, and sometimes you see this in your hymnals, and they'll be at the bottom of the page. And forgive my pronunciation, Ville du Havre, which is the actual ship that went down.
Yeah.
And you think, would you ever want to hear the name of that ship again if you're Horatio Spafford? And yet, it's what was tragic, it was difficult, it was horrible, dramatic. What was bad, it turned out to be good.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I think about. That happened in Joseph's life. What Satan meant for evil, what the world meant for evil, what everybody meant for evil, God made good. And Paul sort of turns that into something that's maybe more understandable for us. God causes all things to work together for good, for those who love him are called according to his purpose. And I'm thinking, it's horrible and terrible. It's hard for me to fathom what he went through, and thinking about that disaster on the sea. And yet we find comfort in it today, because God takes stuff like that in our situation, what's going on in my life or your life, and in some amazing, unusual, miraculous way, he's going to bless somebody with it and turn things to good. And at the core of who God is good, and God is loving. Yeah. And those things are challenged sometimes with our description of things. But I don't know. I guess I'm just looking at this thinking, there's a testimony of the fact that God is good.
Oh, yeah. And
it's not something, the bad things in our life, sometimes we just want to forget about them, sweep them under the rug. And yet what God wants to do is redeem those things. Yeah. He wants to turn them into something that brings glory. And, of course, all things work together for good for us, too.
Yeah, they do. And as I said earlier, it's difficult to see that in the storm. It really does.
Praise you in the storm.
But I'm drawn even outside of this beautiful, beautiful message in this, the concept of that, hard to see it in the storm. I'm drawn to the words of the outlaw Waylon Jennings in the great song, "Storms Never Last."
They come to pass.
And that's true. They don't. Even whether it's the natural hurricane, tornado, thunderstorm, whatever, or whether it's, a tragedy with family or a storm, regardless of its nature, be it physical, emotional, spiritual, eventually it does come to an end in some manner or fashion. And I think if we can process that, which I think we can only do through the eyes of faith, as Mr. Spafford did, is yes, this is awful and my heart is broken. But the last verse of this song, it says, "And Lord, haste the day when the faith shall be sight, the clouds will be rolled back as a scroll, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend, a song in the night. Oh, my soul, it will end well."
It will.
And it's hard to see that, but I want to encourage someone today. Not only go back and listen to this, and there's so many renditions and great people that have sang it, from George Beverly Shea to whoever, but that'll really rock your soul when you hear the not only just the quality of the performance, but the depth of the words. But I want you to go back and read these words. I don't even want to call them lyrics. I want to call them heartfelt words from Horatio Spafford, and look at it through his eyes. And I believe it'll give you a whole different concept of songwriting.
It does. Look at that.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
It used to, I mean, it was popular.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about popular in 1925, 1950, 1975, but in 2025, it's off the charts.
It's still there.
It's more
And
popular
we're talking
than ever.
about something that's, 150 years old or more. And it's like, wow, this still resounds in the heart of those that are listening today. So powerful, powerful way to kick off with "It Is Well." What an incredible story, but what an incredible testimony through these words that, you know what, you can make it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I believe that. So friends, we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back with the next part of Coffee with the Pastors. We're going to look at another great old song, another 100-year older or more. And I believe there's quite a message there too. We'll be right back with more Coffee with the Pastors. Welcome back, everybody, to Coffee with the Pastor. I'm here with my dear friend, Pastor Steve Kirk, and we are talking about old songs. I'm like, oh, geez, no. Go back and listen to the first segment if you're missing, because what we're talking about is not only the historical content and the dates and the writers and stuff, but the message. What was there? What was in the heart of the writer? What was the inspiration? And wow, how does it speak to us right now? So we're going to go back to 1905. I think that was a little bit before our time. Probably not a long bit. Not seriously. We've been around for a while. We love to pick about getting old, but this is a beautiful thing. A lady named Sylvia Martin was inspired in 1905. It said she was visiting a bedridden couple named the Doolittles. They lived in New York. And she asked them this question. She said, how can you be so joyful even in the midst of all of your suffering and pain? I don't understand. How can you be there? And it tells us the quote that she was given ended up being not only the title, but the chorus of a unbelievable song. Miss Doolittle said to Sylvia Martin, she said, you know what? His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I can hardly read that without getting emotional. Matthew chapter 10, Jesus speaks of God caring for the sparrows, and he says, how much is 10 sparrows or 3 sparrows worth compared to you? I mean, if he cares about the value of these little birds that we see in infinity in numbers, and we think, whatever, God counts every single one of them as valuable. How much more will he count you, his most incredible creation? That's a little paraphrasing, but that's what he's saying there. It tells us that Miss Martin was so moved by this quote, she wrote the lyrics that would later be set to music by Charles Gabriel. This song will become a gospel standard, a powerful anthem, all during different types of eras and rights, civil rights, and just everything, all during the years, because of that one phrase that was given to her. And so what we find, again, much like what we talked about in the first song, It Is Well, is this came from a deeper place. This wasn't just, again, another songwriting session or whatever, but it was something that was real. And I think if we look back, even in secular music, the singer-songwriter is my favorite.
Right, me too, brother.
Because they're writing from somewhere else. It's something so much deeper, and you can hear, and again, you can hear the cover versions, or maybe you can hear the artist that would make it a hit. But go back and listen to the songwriter's inspiration for why they wrote. I just saw, again, this is totally off topic, but I think it applies. I saw this interview not too long ago with John Fogerty, of course, Creedence Clearwater Revival and all the great songs of the 60s and 70s and whatever. And they were asking him about the origin of all of these different, what would end up being hits. And he was like, yeah, he said, it's exciting and, it's nice for the platitudes. But he says, but the thing that bugs me though, is most people have no idea what I was actually writing,
Oh,
where I was
got it
writing
all
from,
wrong.
because they assume the message is this. He said, but that was actually not what I was talking about at all. And what I find interesting in these great songs and old hymns here, if you will, is they become popular over the years, and they become familiar, and we sing them from the heart. I think we've shared this before, maybe even together. I know I've shared it before. Years ago, I had a nursing home ministry with music, and would go in and just sit down with an old flat top guitar in the middle of a room of people. Some of them knew who they were, some of them didn't. Some of them knew where they were, some of them didn't have any clue. But for 3 minutes, they could step outside of that lostness and that darkness that wherever they were living at, and they could sing Rock of Ages or Amazing Grace or His Eye is on the Sparrow. It was an amazing testimony of the power of these words. So when we talk about this song and how popular it was, many people sang it. It says here, even one lady named Ethel Waters back in the early 1900s, this was the title of her autobiography. It is, His Eye is on the Sparrow. So I want to read the first verse, Pastor Steve, and then we'll talk more about the song.
Yeah.
It asked questions. It said, why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion? A constant friend is he. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. What does that say to you, man?
Man, in the most difficult or challenging or lonely times in our lives, we find out that somebody really does care, which is what really comes to mind. I mean, I think I've heard it, you've heard it, and I'm sure it's true that that the mental health crisis, I've heard it said that it's 5 years out. I don't know that it's that far away. I think it's going on now.
I don't know that it's not here.
It's here. Truthfully, it is, and folks are trying to respond to it. But in these days, it was going on a lot then too. It was happening then. It was mental. It was physical. A lot of it was physical, and yet this idea of loneliness is that thing that comes to your mind and think, God, why should I be down? Why should I be discouraged? And I was thinking that sometimes we just talk to ourselves and challenge ourselves. There's a verse in the window at my house, Pastor Andy, and I was wanting to make sure that I kind of referenced it. It's Psalm 43:5, and it's kind of a challenge to the self. Mm-hmm. It's basically saying, why am I so downcast? Why am I so sad?
I love that verse.
Why am I so discouraged? And I kind of wrote that down. I thought, why should I feel discouraged, or why should the shadows come when Jesus is my portion? Yeah. It's almost like I feel alone, but am I even accurate in my understanding of my loneliness?
Absolutely.
Probably not, because we don't necessarily, think clearly. What's that saying? We don't see the forest for all the trees. But the truth is, Jesus is my portion.
Absolutely.
A confident.
That's it.
Friend is he.
Yeah,
because
I love that.
The scriptures tell us his eyes on the sparrow, but I know that he watches me.
I love that.
And I talked to a lady this morning. It's interesting. She said, why is this bluebird coming and knocking on my window? If I move to a different room, he taps on the window. Wow. And she goes to another room. And I said, well, his eye is on the sparrow.
That's it.
I was thinking about it this morning. I was talking to her. I was thinking, and I know he watches me. I said, if nothing else, he might be seeing something that he's responding to. She's like, no, this has been going on for a long time. I'm like, I said, nothing. I don't know what it is, but I could tell you God's reminding you his eyes on the sparrow.
Absolutely. No, there are so many cool moments like that. If you get in tune with nature, that God reminds you, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I love that passage you just read from the psalmist, because I feel like David is I picture it in my mind. Of course, my mind is very vivid, and I see I dream vividly, all these different things. But I see that passage. I see David standing in front of the mirror, talking to himself, basically saying, "Man, what the heck's wrong with you?
It is.
Don't you remember who you belong to?" But
Yeah.
we need to have that conversation. Ray Stevens, back in the early 70s, wrote a song saying, I need to have a little talk with myself. Sometimes we do need to do that, because we need to remind ourselves, man, why should I be all down? Because look at who's got me. That's not to discount the problem that we're in.
No, not at all.
But it takes us back to our first song. It is well with my soul. I've settled things with God. And so that gives me the strength to not only survive this storm, but to thrive on the other side of it. I'm going to learn something through this, going to help me. And so when we think about, his eye is on, my constant friend is he, his eye is on the sparrow. And then I love the chorus. And this is one of those to where, again, if we're having a sing along, I know about Throwback Sunday and you're singing the old song, wherever your preferences are. But when everybody comes together and they say, I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Man, I mean, free from what? He set you free. He's saying, I got you. His eyes on the sparrow. And I know he watches me.
We had a lady.
That's just awesome, isn't it?
Had a lady tell us the other day in our 1 o'clock session, she was saying that she had asked somebody how they were doing. And you know what we say sometimes? Well, I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. Sometimes we say I'm blessed. I think, well, that's getting more popular. But this particular lady, when she asked her how she's doing, she said, I'm joyful. And I thought, she said she was joyful. And I'm thinking, I'm stealing that. I sing because I'm happy. And I sing because I'm free. And she started out thinking, why am I discouraged when Jesus is my portion? That self-confrontation that happened right there when she recognized that, why should I be this way? Yeah. And I think it's cool that one of the other songs, I know she was a prolific writer. I was so amazed at how many songs she wrote. I kind of get a lot of information, Pastor Andy, from Hymnary. And this, look at all the songs she wrote. It scrolls.
It's like Fanny Crosby. We're talking 11,000 songs.
I can't even fathom it. I don't even understand how you can do that. But she also wrote that song, God Will Take Care of You. Oh, man. God will take care of you with it. And I read where that came from. It was because her husband was going to go preach somewhere, and she normally went with him. And that day she wasn't well enough to go with him, and he was going to cancel the engagement. And this is a long story short. He was a very well-known man, a teacher, a preacher, a lot of things. But he said, I'll stay here. And the 9-year-old son came and asked him, 9 years old, I'm just envisioning this happening. He's like, well, Dad, don't you think that if God has called you to go preach somewhere that he can take care of Mom? And he did. And the story goes that when he went and preached and came back home, she was much better, felt much better. And so they came up with the line, God will take care of you. So it's the same person, the same story. I guess it just it's looking into these songs and this segment and these things that you've put before us to think about. It really is something that helps us. It challenges the way that we think. That's a real theological concept that a 9-year-old came up with. Amazing. If God's called you to do something, the safest place for everybody is where God called you to be.
100%.
Is that not? That's good. I guess it's theology. It's good music too.
It's certainly a clear application of trusting the very words of this song. I know He watches me.
So trust.
And again, so that's not watches me in the sense of some creep peeking through the window. but
no, not at all.
But he's got me, and that speaks back to the level of faith that we have. Do I trust that?
Well, there it is. That's
the bottom line. Because if God is concerned and cares about every sparrow that falls, however that may happen, naturally hit the car or whatever, whatever, all the things that happen in life. If that, according, again, back to Matthew, Jesus says, listen, a sparrow, that's worth a denarii or a penny, let's just say, for our understanding of that, how much more value are you? If something that is seemingly invaluable to us because there's a plethora of them, whatever, they're a dime a dozen, you can replace, we can have all the different cliches. He's saying if that's how you look at that, it matters to God because He made it. He created it. How much more would He take care of you?
Absolutely.
His very representation, His very image. Think about that, man. And so here the writer is saying, Let not your heart be troubled. His tender word I hear, and resting on his goodness, I lose my doubts and fears. Through by the path he leads, but one step I may see, his eyes on the sparrow. And I know he watches me. And I love this last verse. She writes, whenever I am tempted. Now, I find interesting there the word whenever. That means it's going to happen.
It's not if, right?
That's not maybe. That's going to happen. Whenever I am tempted, whenever clouds arise. So, Pastor Steve, you know, and I know this. Again, we have some fun laughing about age and stuff. But seriously, the longer you live, the more you realize these words are true. Yeah, I'm going to have some temptations. That temptation, we tend to, probably more so within the church circle, and again, I'm not throwing the church under the bus, we tend to always tie that word to some type of moral failure. But man, pie is tempting.
I would like to concur. I would like to say absolutely it is.
Temptation is anything that draws our eyes away from the end goal. You know, I mean, I'm working out, but I'm tempted to go and take a nap and not finish the exercise. Whenever I am tempted, so that is an all-encompassing word that speaks of life, period. Whenever clouds arise, there's going to be days that's just not going to be okay. You know, I planned on going fishing. Well, now it's raining. It wasn't 2 hours ago. Whatever. Whenever songs give place to sighing, when hope within me dies. Now think about that line. Okay, when hope within me. So I'm acknowledging that it's there. Hope, the word hope means confident expectation. So I absolutely believe God's got it. But it just died because the clouds arose and I was tempted and it did not go my way. Is that real?
It's real, and it challenges the platitudes, doesn't it? It's saying that, I know it was there. This is where a lot of us find ourselves. We were running really well. We felt pretty good, and then it hit again and again. And I'm now thinking to myself, this is going to be the way things are. Going to be from now on. I can never get ahead. It's happened again and again and again. That's when it dies.
It does.
And she's so honest and open about that in the song lyric.
And I love that. And she says, when the hope within me dies.
So what do you do? She's going to answer that, isn't she?
She says, I draw closer to
That's
him.
what you do.
For the care he sets me free. His eyes on the sparrow. And I know he watches. Oh, man.
Come back again and again.
There's like 20 sermons in this one verse.
Yes.
I mean, not beat you up sermons, lift you up. Like, we can all be in verse 3.
Absolutely.
Every single one of us can be tempted. The clouds can come up. The hope can die. And hopelessness is a death trap. It is a dead end road.
The worst.
It is the worst place to be. You know, Paul would say in his letters, "Do not be like those who die without hope." Oh my word! Because again, if we go back to the literal definition of the word, we use it in our vocabulary, especially in Western culture, almost as a wish. I hope this is going to work out, you know. But it's completely in direct contradiction to the meaning. The meaning is confident expectation. I absolutely believe it is going to happen. That is what real hope is. Hope is not a maybe so, wish so, hope so, think so. Okay, but that's how we generally use it. But here, when hope dies, I have nothing. Man, that's deep stuff, man.
Our natural response to that is to, well, let's just think. If now I've been hoping in God, and now He's not come through the way I was counting on, so now I'm going to leave God. We've got a world of people who call themselves atheists. They're not atheists.
No.
They're just mad at God. Yeah. God didn't come through. God didn't do what I thought He should do. So all of these things turn out to have the person maybe run from God, leave God, go the wrong direction. And what you see in the song is like, I've been at that place where the hope has died, and I'm not sure what to do. I think I'm going to run. I think what you ought to do is maybe come back to this verse. Maybe what I need to do is see that I need to draw closer to Him. I draw the closer, all the closer. And instead of running or accusing or just, whatever happens when we get mad.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of a lot of things.
It's
Some stuff
everything.
we're embarrassed about, some stuff we're angry about, some stuff we're frustrated about. But all of those things can, if we're not careful, Pastor, and they're gonna cause us to go away.
They will. They will
Instead of
absolutely
cause us to come back.
Absolutely. And I think the more that we stay in that place, the easier it is to be influenced, to turn it off. And
absolutely.
And the thing is,
longer.
nobody wins in that situation. And you do. If you lose hope, you've lost everything.
Yeah.
You mentioned atheists. I had a conversation with someone like that. It's been a while, but they were just infuriated. I mean, seething with anger about God.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked them one question. I said, "Okay, I get it, but I do have to ask you this question." I said, "How can you be so mad at something you don't believe?"
Yeah. See,
And they were like, I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, but I said, because it's causing your life to be miserable. You hate God and you're mad at God and all the other words that we can use. But so you say you don't believe. So why would you do that to yourself? That's kind of dumb, isn't it?
It's the kind of thing that makes you have to challenge yourself. You have to come back.
Like, if it's not there or you don't believe it, why could it make you mad?
Yeah. And I see that a lot, as you do too. People who want to try to give it at least a name, define how they feel. It's easier to run and say, I just don't believe in God. What I'm really saying is, I just don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't like this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like, and C.S. Lewis in his book, A Grief Observed, really helped us with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is.
Very much so.
Very
much
helpful.
So. But I think, as we close out this segment and get ready for our next break, I myself, and I admit this in full transparency, I've sang that song 1,000 times, but never until today that we've been doing this have I realized the power of these words. So I want to encourage everybody that's listening today, go back and listen to that song and read the words.
Yeah.
Don't just listen to the familiar tune because it's easy. I sing because that's easy. Go back and read the words. It changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
It changes everything. Friends, we're going to take our next break. We'll be right back with the last part of Coffee with the Pastor and another great historical journey and another great old song. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that what we have shared with you today has not only been a benefit, and maybe some value of entertainment to some degree, but really cause you to say, wow, you know what, I never thought about the importance of not just the historical value, but the message that is written here from the writer. I've shared this with people. I've written several books, and the general person that gets that book that doesn't know me, they may or may not. Hopefully, they'll get the intent of the message. Mm-hmm. But the person that actually personally knows me, when they read that, not only do they hear my voice and they hear my heart, because they're like, that's exactly who he is. Mm. There's a difference in that. And I think the singer-songwriter or the songwriters in this case, most of them didn't sing them, but they put something down that was so profound that the message that is expressed is amazing. And this last song we're going to look at, obviously known forever because of Billy Graham.
Yes.
But strangely enough, Steve, this was written in 1835.
That's a long time
I mean,
ago.
we're talking, 200 years, man, or whatever. I mean, almost. This is amazing. Charlotte Elliott is the lady's name, and she wrote the words to the ever-known song, Just As I Am.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That song title of itself is a message.
It is.
Because that's exactly how God calls us.
Or an
just
invitation.
As you are.
It is.
It's come as you are and leave in an entirely different manner. I challenge everybody that when they come to my services on Sunday, I hope you come in just as you are, but I don't want you to leave the same. I hope there's something we offer. And so this has become, again, one of the most well-known hymns in music history, period. And it's simple and very profound that has changed so many lives. Just a brief history of Miss Elliott. She grew up, it tells us, in a Christian home with a deeply committed family into their faith. And she would early on, gained a little fame as a poet and all kinds of different stuff like that. But she was struggling. Listen to the word, with depression. I guarantee you in 1835, nobody ever talked about that.
No, did. No.
Okay, ever.
1835.
1835. We're talking about a problem that is profound in 2025. Okay? We can go down, that'd be a whole entirely different program talking about the reality of it. But it says she was struggling with her feelings of uselessness and depression after she had an illness that left her disabled at 32 years old. Yeah. So she was looking at the remainder of her life being useless and just, I'm no good. How many people still struggle with that right now?
Absolutely. And she was surrounded by people who were doing things.
Yeah, exactly.
Great big things.
And that's the whole thing. So it said that she was really battling this internal war. And she met a pastor, and I've never heard this word before. This is a hymnologist. Think about that. This was a person that studied songs. That's what they did. Okay. And crazy enough, he's not the dog whisperer guy, but his name is Caesar Milan. And so it tells us encouragement to Miss Elliott. He told her, he said, come to Christ just as you are. And that really said something to her heart. And she began to write these words, realizing that we can come to God without any pretense or any plea and rely on his grace and his love. So in 1841, so, 6 years later, a man named William Bradbury got her words from Charlotte Elliott and put them to music. And we'll just go through these a little bit there in these next few minutes together. But I just love the first verse, just as I am without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come. God, how many lives has that changed, Steve?
So many. I mean, it's like we were talking about. It's an invitation in of itself. The song itself.
You can hear George Beverly say, "Just as I mean."
And Billy Graham extended an invitation, and then the song extended an invitation.
Yeah, it did.
It's an invitation. Like a lot of these songs, they speak and have a life of their own. Yeah. And I love that song. For years, it was the only invitation song I did. I bet
how many
years. And of course, there are different ones, but I've also noticed, Pastor Andy, everybody knows that song. So when it's being sung, everybody kind of chimes in. It's like Amazing Grace. Yeah. Everybody knows that song.
But the thing is, I think what we can do in this last portion of time together is understand the value not just of the words of this song, but the message. How many people today are struggling with the truth of that statement? That I can come to God just as I am. That I don't need to clean up everything first or get all my ducks in a row. I saw this funny thing yesterday. It said, somebody told me to get all my ducks in a row. He said, I can't even find all of my ducks. I think one of them is on fire and the other one might be a pigeon.
I love it.
But how many people wrestle with that? Because they've been taught that. You got to get all this. God's saying, no, I want you just like you are. How important is that message?
Oh, it's preaching, brother. God demonstrates his own love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'll come to church, I'll come to Jesus, I'll think about this once I get my life straightened out. And boy, if I was the devil, I sure would put that in everybody's head.
Oh man, and we'd never make it, ever.
Because you're never going to know.
You're never going to get it fixed out.
Oh, what a powerful message. And so glad you picked it out, man, because that is what people need to hear.
Because here we're talking about a young person, 32 years old.
Yes. Already.
That is looking at the longevity of life under the guise of uselessness and depression.
Oh, isn't that happening?
32 years old, saying, I am no good. I serve no purpose. Why go on?
Yeah.
There are millions of people today with that very
going on
mindset.
Right now.
And they are trapped in that place. I mean, again, another song, Suspicious Minds, caught in the trap. They are caught in that trap. And it's a lie, because that lie is telling me you'll never get out. This song says, just as I am, and waiting not to rid my soul of one dark blot. Man, I mean, just think about the power. Again, 1835, this was written, Steve.
One dark blot. And, when I hear that word, one dark blot, to me, I feel like what happens when somebody sings that or says that is that I see that, I recognize God sees that dark blot, but I see it too. I live with it daily. I think about it daily. Wouldn't it be awesome if something could cleanse that?
Yeah.
And, of course, whiter than snow. Yes, whiter than snow. Wash me, the old song, and I'll be whiter than snow.
Absolutely.
As far as the east is from the west, so far as it removed our transgressions. I think that is a testimony of relief. Thinking, here I come, and what am I coming for? Well, for him to rid my soul of this thing I can't do anything about.
Yeah, I love that.
And he is going to do something about it. Just because I came. I came dirty, and he fixed it.
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. Just as I am, though tossed about, with many a conflict and many a doubt, fighting within and fears without, I come. God is saying to someone today that is listening to this, Steve, not only go back and listen to this old song, but read the words. Listen and let them minister to your heart. This may touch someone that a sermon might not. Let's just be real.
Absolutely.
Songs minister in ways that our words sometimes can't.
The largest book in the Bible, right? Psalms.
And here, now knowing the story of Charlotte Elliott, a person battling depression and uselessness and all this stuff, is saying, I am coming exactly in that condition. The next verse is, I'm poor and wretched and blind, and I need healing of the mind, she says in the next line. And I'll come to thee and I'll find. I mean, it is so powerful when we think about the richness of the words, but then when we tie it to the story of the author, it's like, that could be me. And that's ministering to me, saying, I'm not hopeless. I can come. Then it can be well with my soul. I can know that he's watching over me. I mean, all these songs tie together, even though they're years apart in their writing. This one being the oldest, 1835. It's just an amazing thing.
And all of these verses mean something. I mean, it's just like a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You think there's nothing left to say, and there's still more. I think it has 6 verses or more.
Yeah, it does. It just keeps going. Yeah, if you sing it, it's half your service. But and again, let's just be honest. People today's attention span is 140 characters or 30 seconds. I mean, it's nothing. And so if you presented we're going to sing the whole song. Probably there's an internal sigh, like, oh, geez, this is going to take forever. But if you understand the value of the words, rather than the inconvenience of the time, this song ends just as I am, thy love unknown. So God, I don't even understand how much you love. I don't make any sense to me, but it has broken every barrier down. And now to be thine, yea, thine alone. I am yours.
I am coming, O Lamb of God. Man. That is everybody needs to read this entire thing. You can sing it, read it, whatever, but people really do need to read that whole thing and see what her testimony is in the midst of what she was going through, but really what we're going through too. I mean, it's so very, I don't know, it speaks to us no matter where we are in any language, in any situation.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably why Paul said, sing to one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, making music in your hearts to one another. This is a huge part of worship, is part of our koinonia fellowship. Sing these songs. Know these songs. Yeah. I mean, when I get, we're looking at these things together, you and I are both thinking, man, look at this, what she just said. Yeah. And now it just means something new.
It takes on a whole entirely different meaning. And I think I want to be careful how I say this, but I think we do a disservice to our bodies, the literal body of Christ and the fellowships that we have by not bringing this stuff up.
Right, I do. I think it's a new thing to really
because
say.
The value, and I'm saying this to myself as well,
me
as
too,
a pastor,
really.
As a follower and believer of Christ. Here's something that is just 10 years shy of being 200 years old. 200 years old. Okay, and we find a depth that I've never even seen before.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, because again, like, oh, geez, here's that old song again. No.
Yeah, familiarity brings
Go
contempt.
back and look at what it actually says. And I think we've lost that.
Yeah.
Again, I understand the message of modern stuff is not necessarily wrong, bad, or whatever. But sometimes it's repetitive, and sometimes it's there's no story there. You just wrote that last night.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's like I saw this line in a show, it was a comedy show, but it actually made sense. They had just taken a trip to Europe, okay, and they'd gone and they toured and they'd seen these castles and just this unbelievable history. And he was like, and we come back here and everything was built last week. He said, there's no history, there's no depth. Think about these messages. This is from a person dealing with an issue, openly dealing with an issue that is at the forefront of everything talked about today. Was absolutely not the forefront of anything talked about in 1835, and yet still they met their brokenness, and they overcame their brokenness through their relationship with God.
Well, and that is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking what we deal with today, they were dealing with then, certainly, but what I think the enemy loves to use against us is to tell us that we're alone in this. Yeah. Nobody understands. And it's true, your situation is unique, but there are people who are going through similar things. Here's a situation where somebody was really going through similar things that perhaps one of our listeners is going through. It might be someone today is like, well, gosh, that's exactly where I find myself today. Yeah. I feel useless. I'm practically unable to do things, and I'm surrounded by people who are. And this is, we use the term depression, but, we're not alone in this, are we? No. And when you see a song like this, you sing a song, it's the coming together of the story, of the message of the song, whatever that sounds like. And I don't think, I think everybody can sing. I'm just one of these people who thinks, everybody can sing. God put a song in our hearts.
The
joyful noise is right.
That's it.
And I think it's so good to sing in those times. I do. And to come and find these songs like this. I mean, our listeners can walk away today and say, there's at least 3 songs that are going to help me where I am right now.
Absolutely.
Right now. And sing those songs.
Sing them, learn them, let them minister to you. And as the lady that wrote His Eyes on the Sparrow, I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Man, there's just something so beautiful about that. So again, we have run out of time, my friend. It goes by quick.
Good stuff,
what
isn't it?
Great conversation. Thank you so much for being here today. Quickly, let us all know about Green Springs, man. Where can we find you at?
Man, we're down in Parkton, and of course, you can find us online at greenspringsbc.com, and just wonderful folks down there. I'd love to have folks visit. Our church is very welcoming. We're out in a cornfield, but come on out. We're reminded of the harvest.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Well, go if you're over in that area, go see Pastor Steve. You'll be blessed. Not a question in my mind about it. To all of our fellow pastors out there, guys, let me tell you, it is not a bad idea to study these old songs.
It's not.
I promise you that. The life and the depth that is found there absolutely points people to a relationship with Christ. I believe that with all my heart. And so I want to again thank everybody for tuning in today. Lord willing, we'll be back next week with another great conversation about things that matter. Until then, blessings to all of you. I am your host, Pastor Andy. This is Coffee with the Pastor, where Jesus is good all the way to the last one.
You've been listening to Coffee with the Pastor with your host, Andy McDaniel. Connect and learn more when you visit the podcast page at Christian1057.com. And join us each week for Coffee with the Pastor on Christian 105.7.